Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Honest HR Nitrous. I am Bill, the company's expert. Thank you for joining me today. You guys are awesome. I don't care where you are. I don't care what you do. You're awesome. If you're here, you're engaging in self-employment, self-improvement, I should say, and that alone makes you awesome. If you are between jobs, you are awesome. You've come to the right place. This is where we talk about everything related to careers, job seeking, HR, all that kind of stuff. So resumes, job interviews, and not only that stuff, but the mechanics of job search, how it actually works in the real world, as opposed to the theory of how it should work, warts and all, including unprofessional recruiters and just some of the psychological effects of it. So if you are joining me today, thank you very much. I hope you get something out of this. The public service announcement, like I always do, just want to thank my YouTube channel members. You guys are awesome. My Patreons, my super thanks donors, and of course to my participants on this Friday morning. I don't know if you can tell, but there is a blizzard going on right behind me. I'm coming to you live from beautiful Winnipeg, Canada, the shining center of North America, where the weather is always lovely. The title of today's episode is Why People Hire Certain People and Not Others. So we're going to kind of loosely be talking about that, but this is primarily an interactive live stream. So if you see my face, you should see a chat box somewhere nearby in the vicinity. So get in the chat box, let me know what you're wondering about, what you're struggling with, what's going on with you, and I will do my best to help you out. While we wait for that to happen, I was going to react to the reaction to a couple of my videos that I put out recently. I got a lot of comments on a couple of videos I put out in the last week or so, and a little bit annoying because I feel that some people misinterpreted what I was saying, but that's okay. I did a video called Overqualified, what overqualified really means. And I don't know if you've had a chance to check that out, but if you have, I know what overqualified means, or at least what people say it means, which is that you're too old, or insert whatever thing that they don't want to tell you as an excuse. Yeah, I know that. I know that's what they say it means, but my point was that there's no such thing as being overqualified in reality, right? You can't do a job too well. It's stupid. And I also am aware of the issue with, in theory, hiring someone who is more qualified than the bare minimum to do the job, because in theory, they might be able to get a better job and they would leave soon after you hired them. So yes, I'm aware of that. But my point is that those aren't always true. And this comes to the problem with the way jobs, recruitment and selection is done at a worker level, which is that they make assumptions about you. They don't actually want to get to know you. So they don't want to devote the time to this because it's inefficient. So what they do is they make assumptions about you based on statistics, based on stereotypes, right? And one of the things they say is that if you have more qualifications than a job technically requires, then technically that means you are overqualified, and we are making the assumption that you will A, be able to get a better paying job, and B, you will then jump from this job to that job shortly after we hire you. Both of those are flimsy. They're not true universally by far. And the problem I'm pointing out is that they assume this of everyone. I mean, how far do you really want to go with these assumptions? You know, because you could play this game more. You could say, somebody comes in for a management interview, for a management type position, and you could look at them and you say, I'm sorry, you're under average height. Therefore, because most leaders, for whatever reason, tend to be above average height, you can never be a leader, so we're not even going to look at you. We're not going to look at your resume. We're not going to hear what you have to say about yourself. You don't make the cut. You're not a good fit, right? This is what I'm talking about. It's about making assumptions about people based on statistics, based on demographics, based on averages. And that's the part that sucks. Okay? That's the part I'm pointing out. And I don't think a lot of people got that. But whatever. That's just something I want to throw out there. I see there are some people in the chat today. Hello everybody. Titus is here. Titus says, I'm here to testify that your tips and lessons landed me my dream job. Well, that's very kind of you, very gracious of you, Titus. Thank you for saying that. I'm glad that you're prospering, and I'm glad that some of the stuff that you got from my channel helped in a small way for that. So congratulations. Pearl is here again. Hello, Bill. Pearl says, I learned this from you. People hire why they like or not necessarily the best candidate, who they like, and not necessarily the best candidate. Absolutely. Yeah. And the other thing is that if you have a corporate recruiter, if you're going for a job in a large organization, often, they won't tell you this, but often they're not actually looking for the best candidate. That's not what the whole thing is about. They're going for the least risky candidate. There's a couple of things that are pushing them in that direction. One is the official sort of hiring mandate. The other one is on a personal level, dealing with personal incentives. Sometimes those push recruiters to also go in that direction. If you hire a candidate, everybody thinks they're awesome, and then they quit or they don't work out, it's embarrassing for you because you're the one that picked them, right? So sometimes that plays a factor. Miguel says, I can also agree with Titus's message. Well, thank you, Miguel. That's very nice of you. Titus said something very complimentary indeed, so I appreciate that. Combinator Records says, I believe you don't hear that for the first time, but I got a great job thanks to you, just because I didn't tell what my salary expectations are, and at the last step, they increased budget by 80%. Well, congratulations. That sounds really awesome, Combinator Records. That's great to hear. Yes, never give a number for your salary. I mean, go to ridiculous lengths to not give a number. Even when they put the screws to you and they say, we need to know, you need to tell us what number of a compensation you need, you know, and you say like, I'm sorry, can't do that. You know, don't buckle to the pressure. The pressure is all self-serving, and it serves to give them an advantage and not you, obviously. So stick to your guns. Don't be afraid to stick to your guns. You know what's really, really useful is learning proper ways that don't feel awkward at all of saying no or of saying I refuse, right? You know, wouldn't it be great if you could express that without like feeling really awkward and creating all this awkwardness? That's the problem that a lot of people have, right? They don't know how to say it without like totally, you know, breaking the mood, breaking the vibe, making it a big deal. And, you know, that's what people are fearful of, and that's why they don't do it. They get browbeaten into doing things that they didn't want to do by interviewers who are more experienced in doing this. Yeah, so coming back to my reaction to the videos I did, I talked about the overqualified video. The other video I did recently that got a bit more views was something called, what was it called? It was called Most Jobs Are Hidden, This Is How You Find Them, where I talk about the hidden job market. And it's great that most people liked the video and understood what I was saying. There's always a few people that no matter what you do, this is a very sensitive area for them. When you tell them about the hidden job market, all of a sudden they have this ideological sort of thing implanted where they think, oh, that's nepotism, and it's corruption, and it's cronyism. And it's like, it isn't. If you would just open your mind for a second and think about it, it is not any of those things. It's actually a really good thing. It's a positive thing. I got so many comments from people saying, oh, you know, this is not equal opportunity employment. And it's like, yes, it is. It is. It is the solution to there not being equal opportunity employment, if that's like, you know, a big thing for you. You know, this is a great thing. You know, it's not based on who you are. It's based on what you do. The fact that you go and you reach out to people, the fact that you go and, you know, you contact the decision makers in a professional way, in an appropriate way. And you're the only one that does this. And you do it in a way that, you know, you come across professional, you come across awesome, you come across as someone who is genuinely passionate about doing the kind of work you do, right? You know, it's not you talking about how awesome you are like you do in a job interview. You know, that's what a lot of frustration comes from. People who have a lot of technical skills go to a job interview, they talk to someone in the interview who is not a technical person. They feel like, I can't convey to you how much value I have because it's technical and you don't understand anything technical. You're here hiring for like an engineering or science or, technology type position or something, and you don't know the first thing about that subject matter. How can I convince you that I know my stuff and I'm like really good at what I do? This is where a lot of frustration stems from. And for those people, the solution is what I talked about in that video, the hidden job market. You go and you talk to the decision makers directly, and you're talking to the engineering manager, you're talking to, the vice president in charge of R&D or innovation or technology, the chief technical officer or someone like that, chief information officer, and you're talking shop with them. And they can see that you know your stuff, and they can see that you're passionate about it. And they put in a good word for you, or they hire you because of that, because you're the only one that sort of stepped up, showed their passion, showed their knowledge. It's not about talking about how awesome you are. It's about showing how awesome you are. This is what it's like dealing with you, this exchange you have. And if they like it and they find it professional, they find that, they can communicate clearly with you and vice versa, that's why they hire you. Anybody can do this. It's based on your actions, not based on who you are or what you put in your resume. That's the beautiful thing. You're also talking to a person that understands the job, who understands the job and is several levels up. 2 levels up, 3 levels up, whatever. But that's how they see your value. And that can overcome a lot of the supposed deficiencies that you might have in a traditional job interview with a recruiter. Answering retarded questions like, tell me about yourself, and why do you want to work here, and what are your weaknesses, all that kind of crap, right? So this is a very, very positive thing, and a lot of people took it as such, and that's great, but you always get a few people that they're just ideologically opposed to the idea. And it's a shame, because the inequality or the inequity that they're complaining about, this is the fix for that. It's a fix for the very same things that they perceive as being everywhere. At least in my opinion. That's been my experience. MMA4L. Employers give favor to people with degrees, even if the person has a hands-on experience. Not necessarily. I worked for 8 years in the railroad. Holy crap. I never met a bunch of people that respected education less than the people in that industry. Their vice president of continuous improvement didn't have any kind of post-secondary education, let alone training in continuous improvement. They were a mechanic who had high school, and they picked up. I don't think they even had like a Red Seal ticket or like a journeyman ticket, anything like that, like to be a mechanic. They were just like a sort of amateur mechanic, and they got jumped up. So I have no doubt, MMA4L, that in some places you're absolutely right. The extreme example would be education. Like if you want to be a teacher or something, education is everything. Like if you got a PhD, you got a master's, you got a bachelor, or you got a certificate, or whatever it is, that's all they care about. They care about nothing else. They don't care about what experience you have, like to an extreme degree. And of course I'm generalizing, but I'm saying that's a world where they place extreme value on educational credentials and relatively little value on experience. You go elsewhere and it's the opposite. So it depends what industry you're talking about. That stuff totally varies by industries. I've worked across 5 industries. I know what I'm talking about here. So if in the places you're looking or the places in your industry, that's their culture, rest assured you can go other places where they don't hold those opinions, right? Especially, now I know this less from experience, but more from what I hear. And that is that in the last 5 years or more, when there's been an explosion of sort of Mickey Mouse educational certifications, as a result, people are putting less credibility and credence into the educational certifications, because like they're coming out with new ones all the time, and the employers go, what is this? Like, I've never heard of this degree. Is that a thing? What do you learn? Does that qualify you to do this? I don't know. You don't really know. That's the problem employers have. I don't know. This person says they got this degree in this new thing I've never heard of, and they say they got like, a 4.5 GPA or whatever. Is that good? Like, is that hard to get? Or is it like a diploma mill type situation where like everybody gets a 4.5 GPA if you show up? We don't know. So therefore, we don't put a lot of currency in it. You know what I mean? The best thing to do to vet any kind of educational credential you're thinking of getting, if you're thinking of going back to school to get like this degree or this certificate or whatever, what's really good is to go on LinkedIn and do a people search for that certification or that degree. Okay, maybe limit it to your hometown. Okay, like if you live in like a city or something, just limit it to your city, and then do a people search, and then do a search for that credential. So like bachelor of, I don't know, some new thing, hairstyle, motor skiing, and deep sea exploration, right? Go enter that in the search box, and then look at the results. You'll get individuals who presumably have that credential, and look at what jobs they're in. Now, if they're all CEOs, that tells you something. If they're all like working at the donut shop, that tells you something else. You know what I mean? So if you can't find it at all, that tells you something else. It's kind of not really a thing that's a known quantity. Maybe it's extremely new, or it's just, not a lot of people take it. So that's like a really good test, right? So that's a great thing if you're thinking of going back to school. That's a good test to do. Just take 5 minutes and do this before, and see kind of what the real world is kind of telling you about the value of that educational credential. Miguel says, I recently had a positive experience where I proactively reached out to a hiring manager. This resulted in an offer for a fantastic unadvertised position that perfectly aligned with my career. Well, congratulations. Yes. You see, that's a classic example of a hidden job. The job existed. They were thinking of hiring, but they hadn't gotten around to posting the job yet. They were probably hoping that they don't need to post the job. They could just get it filled quicker and easier and cheaper than having to just post it and get 1,000 resumes from strangers to do it. Right? I mean, why would you, if you try and put your shoes, put yourself in the shoes of an employer, and then you put your shoes away. If you try and put yourself in the shoes of an employer, like a general manager or something, why would you want to post the job when you have people reaching out to you and saying, hey, like if ever you're looking for a technician, let me know, because I'm a fully qualified technician. I'm great at doing this. I'm really easy to work with, and I know about your company, and I live nearby. And I know you guys do good work, and I'd love to work for you. So if ever you're looking, please keep my name well in mind. Like, you're going to ignore that, and then you're going to get resumes from strangers, 50% of which are totally not qualified, like just by looking at their resume. They don't even have any of the things you said were requirements. You're really going to, sift through that? This is the reality, right? And this is a good thing, because if you're not getting anywhere applying for the posted jobs, there's this whole universe of hidden jobs that awaits. All you need to do is start tapping that. Start like going after those jobs, and anyone can do it. If you have a computer, you got a phone, and you know how to type, you can put yourself forward for these things. And depending on what, things you're comfortable with, if you're comfortable with doing things like informational interviews, that gives you more and more options, right? Where do we leave off here? Tech Programmer 556 says, should one follow up after a week of interviewing? So you interviewed for a week and then you're wondering if you should follow up? Yes. What's the harm? Like why would you not follow up? Would be my question. You continue. You say, so I interviewed on January 7th and the manager said she was going on PTO. I guess that's part-time something. And she said she'd let me know in a week, but I've gotten no update. Should I follow up? So what you're telling me, Tech Programmer, is that a recruiter said they'd get back to you and they didn't? Well, stop the press, because that's never happened before. No, listen, I don't mean to be condescending. Listen, unfortunately, that is a lot more common than you would think. That pretty much almost everybody has some kind of experience like that. Probably many experiences like that, where they say, I'll get back to you, and then they don't. It can mean a whole variety of things. Listen, if they want to move forward with you, they're going to contact you, okay? Now, if this is a dream job for you, this is something you care about deeply, or you've invested a lot of time and effort into it, and you're really hoping that it works out, there's no harm in following up. Probably the simplest, most effective thing, in my opinion. Like, if you're the type of person that is kind of fearful of talking to people on the phone, apparently that's a very, very common thing nowadays. If you're one of those people, the easiest thing to do would be to leave a voice message, like after hours or something. Just leave a voicemail and just say, hello, it's me. I'm following up just to see if there's been any update. My number is this. Please let me know. I'm very interested in hearing where this goes. Thank you for your time. Have yourself a great day. Something like that. That would be just something you can do. You don't have to talk to anyone in real time. Now you could send an email, you could send a note, like a message, a DM, but the voicemail is more effective. Okay? PTO, pay time off, sure. The problem is people, depending on where you are in the world, what country, what industry, what part of what industry, everybody's got different acronyms for everything, so I can't stay on top of it, nor do I try. But no problem. So yeah, if it's a big deal to you, sure, follow up. You could do it that way or any other way. But listen, what you don't want to do, like I always say, is you don't want to be sitting by the phone waiting for it to ring, hand-wringing over whether you should follow up again or, who should. You're looking backwards. You should be looking forwards. They'll get back to you if they want to move forward with you, if it's like that's where they are. You don't know what's happening on the other end. There's no way to know what's happening on the other end. For all you know, it could even be a fake job. And I'm not saying this to be a jerk, but you keep moving forward. Keep focusing on the next opportunity. Wouldn't it be great if these people eventually did get back to you, but by that time you had a whole bunch of interviews lined up, maybe even another offer, something like that? Think of the power you would have in negotiating compensation if it got that far, right? You don't have to take anything from them. You've got other options, right? So keep moving forward. That's what's right for you. And recruiters are notoriously bad about saying that they're going to follow up, and they never do. Like 90% of the time, they don't. That's their way of saying goodbye. They're saying, yes, I'll be in touch. I'll give you a call in a week. It's so easy to say. So everyone says it in that industry, but you don't know if they're serious or not. So just smile and nod. And if they do get back to you, great. If they don't, just keep moving forward. You're going to be fine. Yeah. What was I going to say here? Well, I guess the title of this episode is why people hire certain people and not others. And I mean, talk about huge topic, but one aspect of this is, and this might be apropos what you're asking me right now, with a follow-up thing. One aspect of this is, think of like the stuff that you end up buying. Okay, what you spend money on. Like, you go to the store and you buy something. Let's say you go to the grocery store, okay, and you buy food. What food do you buy? Well, it's usually the food that they like put on display in a very obvious way that's shoved right in your face when you walk in the store, right? Here, all these arrows pointing to it, buy this, right? It's on sale, Normally it costs $10. They claim the price is $20, reduced by 50% to $10, right? It's on sale, 50% off. This. You see it? Come on. Right? That's what you end up buying, that kind of stuff. Because you're thinking about it. Right? So you end up buying the product. We end up buying the product that we are thinking about. Right? We don't end up, you don't say, no, I don't want this. And then you go to the back of the store and you talk to the manager, the grocery, the produce manager, whatever, and you say, do you have any other, versions of this from other manufacturers, any other products here, any other competition for this? I'm interested in seeing what those are. Do you do that? Usually not. Right? So this is what we call mind share, right? Things that have the best mind share usually sell the most units. So how does this relate to job interviews and getting hired and all this? This is why the hidden job market is a thing. This is why people go for it, because if 1,000 people apply, but they're all resumes, the hiring manager hasn't met any of them. But you contact the hiring manager directly and you make it real. You leave them a voice message or something like that. Would be even more direct than leaving them a DM or something, right? You're in their mind. You're real to them. So if they're thinking of filling that job, they're going to think of you first, right? And from a technical point of view, you are a better choice since they've already met you, or at least spoken to you. They already heard your voice. They already have a sample of how, your communication skills are, how professionally you express yourself, your sense of what's appropriate to say to people and what isn't. They've already got a taste of this. Maybe in your message, you made a pitch for yourself, or you tried to persuade them, give me a call back, or, let me know if, I'd like to put myself forward for this role if you have one, right? How effective were you at persuading them? They've got a sample of that, right? So you're more of a known quantity than any of the people that have just sent in applications. They haven't met those people, right? But they know all this stuff about you, and the fact that you reached out to them, that signals a whole lot of things about you. You obviously care about this position. You wouldn't just do that to every job that you would apply for, right? Because that takes effort. That takes a bit more time to research, who's the hiring manager, what are their contact, what's their contact information. You've done all that, right? So it signals a lot about you. So you're elevating yourself above the crowd, right? And they've heard your voice, they're thinking of you. All things being equal at this point, you're their number one choice. So that's where we are. Tech programmer says, what if that job was reposted? Was it reposted? Okay, well, that could mean a number of things. First of all, it could mean it's a fake job, right? Number two, it could mean that they're just still looking at it. And either way you slice it, it means that you didn't make the cut if they reposted the job after they interviewed you, right? That's generally what it means, right? Now, as I said, you don't know what's going on the other end. You will never know what's going on the other end. So if it's a big deal to you, I'd follow up. I'd leave them a voicemail message once, twice, maybe, if it's a big deal to you. And then I'd move on, right? They have your information. And if they want to move forward with you, they will contact you. I see all the jobs reposted on the company. By the way, it's real. Okay, well, then it's an incompetent company. So what you're telling me is that they are posting a job. They are bringing candidates in, they are interviewing candidates, and then they are reposting the job and starting all over again. Is that what you're saying? Well, that is the definition of not knowing what you're doing in the recruitment and selection department. I suppose in theory it could be all the candidates that they brought in for interviews were so bad that they didn't want to hire any of them. I suppose that's a possibility. But I don't know. I'd be very surprised. Like, unless there was something really wrong with the job that was like driving any decent person away from it, like it was paying really low for what it was. Like, it's so far below market that, any qualified person is just not interested. I suppose that could be possible, but, it just sounds like something's up with them. It doesn't sound like a good situation. Either they're incompetent or something weird's going on. So, you know what I mean? Maybe they're changing their mind. They're changing the requirements of the job. I don't know. But it's not good. That's what I can tell you, right? So I'd keep looking. Tech programmer 556, like that's what you need to do anyway. This is what I'm trying to tell you. You need to move on. You've applied for them. You've come in and interviewed with them. They know what's up with you. They have your information. You need to keep looking, and you need to look for companies that they're signaling more favorable stuff than this, because these are kind of red flags. Reposting a job continually, especially after bringing people in, that's a red flag. A lot of scams take that form. I'm not saying that's what it is, but there's a chance it could be. Or just they're incompetent. They're changing their mind. They don't know what they're doing. Maybe they laid off or fired the recruiter, and now it's being reposted with the new person and they're starting from scratch. I don't know. Those are all possibilities. So just keep moving. You're a valuable person. You're employable. You're talented. There's an employer out there for you that doesn't play these kind of games. Okay? They're above board and they have their act together. So the sooner you connect with them and you leave people like this behind, the better. Now, if they contact you and, they say, I'm sorry, we were on vacation. The job automatically was reposted just in our HR system, just an oversight because I was on vacation. Then fair enough. But I wish you all the luck in the world with that, tech programmer. Yeah, so get in the chat. Let me know. We've got to the end of the chat. I see there's 32 people here. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. If you feel lost, you feel like you don't know what to do, you don't know how this stuff works, you want to learn it from beginning to end, check out that course I have. There's a link in the description box. This is all my advice, all in one place, with templates and, all in a logical order, with principles stacking on top of principles and everything. It's for the posted job market and the hidden job market. So if you're looking for that kind of thing, that's where I put all that stuff definitively. So check that out. Yeah. So get in the chat. Can't react to anything. I don't really have an agenda of what to talk about unless somebody sends in some questions or comments or anything like that. I'm here to try and answer questions and help you out if I can. Yeah, what did I not say earlier? Oh yeah, I had more to say about that overqualified video. If anybody cares about that, this is a recent video I did. The thumbnail says overqualified, and I think the title was what overqualified means or what it actually means, that kind of thing. like I was saying in the very beginning of this live stream, I got a lot of comments on that video, and most people had really nice things to say, which is awesome. But there's always a few people that, in this case, I feel like they missed the point a little of what I was saying. I know that overqualified means you're old, or, some people use it. They don't want to say you're old, you're too old for our liking, or there's something off about you. So they don't want to say that. So a really good kiss off is to say you're overqualified, because you can't get in trouble for saying that. Nobody could sue you for saying that. But it sounds professional, it sounds logical, but yet tells you nothing, right? And people use it as a kiss-off for, a whole kaleidoscope of different reasons why they don't want to hire you. It could be something as benign as, there were 8 interview candidates for one job, so 7 of them have to go home with a no. They were all qualified, all of them could have done the job, and all were pretty much neck and neck. And, we essentially rolled a dice to decide who we were going to offer it to. There was nothing wrong with you, but we have to give you a reason, since you're asking, of why it didn't work out, so you're overqualified. That's what it can mean, right? It can also be a cover for a variety of things to do with soft skills. You might be technically qualified, but they just didn't feel that your communication skills were ideal. You could make yourself understood, but you came across really aggressive or, obsessive or something like that. And as a result, they didn't go away with a great feeling after having dealt with you. That happens a lot. It's a real challenge to try and get along with every type of person, right? Especially I can believe some recruiters who act unprofessionally and have an attitude and can be very arrogant. And then you don't act in such a super happy, friendly way that they go away with a really positive vibe. Unfortunately, that's some of the things that go on. So those are the things that you can maybe control, but it's usually an excuse for what you can't control. Just there's a lot of people competing for the same job. Everybody who comes to the job interview on paper is qualified. So, it's almost a roll of the dice, roll of the die. Excellent. Some people are in the chat. Some more. Deftones Tool says, just depressed, applying for jobs that have 3,000 applicants. Understand the networking piece. That is hard. Well, it's not really hard if you know what to do, Deftones. You don't have to talk to a single person. You can do it all remotely. And a lot of people think they understand I'm not saying this is you, but I'm just saying a lot of people think they understand the networking thing, and they don't. They think that to do networking, you have to know a million people. You don't. The whole, it's who you know, not what you know, is crap. You don't have to know anyone. Okay. Oh, sure. If you got friends in high places, yes, that can get you places, of course. But you don't have to do that. That's not what we're talking about. What I advocate for almost everybody across the board is to reach out to companies. You don't have to know anyone. And in fact, if you're coming to a new city, if you're moving to a new location, a new city, this is the kind of thing that you would do. You'd be reaching out to all the employers around you, right? That are likely to employ someone with your skills. And that's a lot of employers. If you're in a city, that's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Now, if you think inside each of those employers, there's many departments, many different people that have the power to hire, right? Like, for example, you have experience repairing vehicles, like you're a mechanic, okay? In some employers, they could use people with those skills in multiple roles, spanning a couple of different departments. There's maybe a repair department, there's maybe a warehouse or garage sort of area, there's maybe a maintenance area or department. There's people that work remotely on customer sites. There's people that work in-house. There's a lot of different departments. So within one employer, especially if it's a company that's got over 50 employees, you might have to, you can talk to more than one person, More than one person has the power to hire for their little department or their area. So that's a lot of opportunities. So Deftones, I encourage you to look into that, okay? If you think it's hard, then like no offense, but I think that you're maybe misunderstanding of certainly part of what it can be, what it can involve, okay? So check that out. I've got some free videos. The catch is that you need to know a little bit about like how to talk to people and stuff. How to phrase a message, right? If you're the type of person that says, hey, give me a job already, and you send that off, it's like, that's probably not going to go down too well. So knowing a bit of etiquette and protocol of what you say and how you phrase things properly to try and persuade someone, that really helps. I have some free stuff on my channel. I've got the rest of it all in that course for people who are into courses. Link in the description. Okay, but don't take my word for this. Go out and do your own research. Get your advice from a variety of sources, and don't just purely follow advice. Go and try things. That's the way to do it. Tech programmer says, do most jobs only hire one person? Well, no, it depends. A lot of them do. Yeah, they got one position open, right? You have a department of 10 technicians that repair vehicles. One of them just retired. You need a replacement. You hire one, right? Now, big companies, sometimes they do bulk hiring, right? So, those are sometimes the companies that go to job fairs and stuff like that. They'll hire like 50 students at once, or they have partnerships with schools and things, universities and trade schools and things like this. And they'll take like students in bulk. So they come out of school with they graduate with whatever educational credential, and then they go straight into this company as an employee, like a ground level employee, and they were hired in a mass hiring, right? Could be 5 people at a time, could be 50, It depends. We see all of those things, but a lot of jobs are usually for one position. I mean, I don't have any stats on that, but that's just my impression, But the point is, you get many more candidates than you do positions, right? So for every job, you might bring in 6 people to interview. Between 6 and 8, something like that is kind of usually the ratio. So if you're trying to fill one vacancy, you interview 6 people. At least in corporate HR environments, that's what they do. That's what recruiters do. And then they decide between the 6 people. They might have 1 or 2 rounds of interviews. Sometimes you can get more. I once got a job that I was asked to come in for 9 interviews. That's ridiculous. But it takes all kinds. But usually it's for one position. Deftones. Thanks. Many places here hire in India for my tech job. Okay. Good. We'll continue to watch your videos and we'll continue looking here. Yeah, like the thing is, there's many ways to get a job. The default method that everyone sees, it's the most visible, is posted jobs. That's what, if you didn't know anything about like job search and you thought like, wow, I got to get a job. How do I do that? You would think like, okay, well, they post jobs, don't they? So I just sort of apply to the company if they've posted a job, right? Yes, that is one way. It turns out that's not the most popular way. That's the most obvious way, but it's not the most popular. The most popular is some form of networking. And if you don't believe me, don't take my word for this. Go and do your own research. Go look into this stuff. I encourage you to do it. Okay? There are many different ways of getting a job. Okay? And like I covered several on my channel. I haven't talked about some for a very long time because no one's asked me about it. But there's a lot of different methods. So look into them. And maybe one way doesn't really agree with you, but maybe another way does, depending on your personality or whatever. I'm a big advocate of networking. I think that there's a lot of introverts out there who have never been exposed to it, just are ignorant of like how the world works. People connect with other people for a reason in business, because the more connections you have means the more capabilities you have, right? If you know a person that, you know, does insurance, and then you know another person who's an accountant, and you know another person who is a technician that can fix mechanical things, or you know another person that works in construction. You know, any question you or problem you might have to do with construction or, you know, technology or insurance or accounting or whatever, you can get the answer to. You may not know anything about those things, but you can get the answer. You just call your buddy who knows all about insurance or knows all about construction, and they'll set you straight. They'll tell you, oh, this is how it works. And if you need it done, these are the people I would recommend. Either I could do it myself, or in this case, you probably have to get someone else. But these are the people I recommend. Talk to John. Here's their number. Here's what they're called, where they're located. You're welcome. You know, that's the power of networking. It multiplies your capabilities, right? Now, you don't have to be this like social butterfly, extroverted type of person to tap into that. A lot of introverts that have jobs where you interact with a lot of people for your job, you know, you connect with a lot of people internally in your company, right? Here's the HR department. Here's the accounting department. Here's the IT department. Here's, you know, whatever, you know, the operations department. You know, you're connected. So you kind of know a lot of different people that are different from you that have expertise in other areas, right? So the great thing about doing this as part of your job is that you're thrown together, and they will talk to you because you are a fellow employee of the same company. It's not like they'll tell you to get lost or something. You know, it's part of their job to deal with you and accommodate you and answer your questions or get you what you need, right? Well, this same principle applies outside of companies too. Now, if you've ever had the type of job where you have to connect with people outside of your employer, right? You're dealing with contractors, you're dealing with suppliers, you're dealing with just third parties of all kinds. You know, you realize like, okay, the more people I'm connected to and the more people I've met and I know who they are and they know who I am, that gives me more capabilities. I can get stuff done. Give me a problem like, you know, build a building or, you know, go and, you know, solve this problem out in the real world. I can do that. Not because I have the skills, but because I know exactly the people to talk to that can do every piece of that. And I kind of know how it works, you know? So this is a very powerful thing. So if you have to get a job, it's kind of the same process. It's like, you know, I can do this. It's about reaching out to people. You know, who's got the who's the most appropriate person to reach out to? It's someone who has the power to hire you. They're not going to be on your level. They're going to be up 1 level, 2 levels, 3 levels, right? But yet someone that can relate to you. And the beautiful thing is that a lot of those people that are 2 or 3 levels above you, you know, they are professional communicators. It's part of their job to communicate with people outside of their organization. So they're very good at it. And the first step is usually they don't bite your head off. You could be somebody very important. You could be the press. You could be, you know, some tremendous like opportunity for them or their company. It really doesn't make sense to just like bite their head off or refuse to talk to them or act like a jackass, you know. So you don't get a lot of that. If you're going to the right people and then you're presenting yourself professionally. Anyway, learn about this stuff. This is how most people get hired. And if you don't believe me on that, go do your research on it. You'll see it's true. All the jobs you see out there, all those jobs that are posted, those are 20% of the jobs that are actually out there. The other 80% are there. They're just hidden. They're not posted because people don't need to post them because they fill them quite easily. Once again, don't take my word on that either. If that's a shock or a surprise, go look it up. Go research these things and you'll see. So So I'm hoping this will encourage you to like learn more about the other options. The problem is that a lot of people commenting about job search, who are they? They're recruiters. So it's very hard for a recruiter to say, don't go through a recruiter to get a job, right? It's a conflict of interest. So generally, recruiters tend to keep quiet about the hidden job market, or they'll tell you it doesn't exist. No, the only way to get a job is to go through me, right? I'm all important. Don't believe anyone who tells you I'm not, right? Very self-serving. And there are some great recruiters that can really help you, but there's a lot of bad ones that just, they fall into this. Anyway. Tech programmer, I just followed up. I'm so nervous. Don't be nervous, tech programmer. You're awesome. Listen, okay? Look, everyone starts out being nervous. Certainly every introvert starts out being nervous. I'm an introvert. When I was like 21 years old or whatever, I didn't know how to talk to people. No one prepared me for that. School doesn't prepare you for that. I took an engineering degree. They didn't prepare me for that. There were a bunch of people that wore sweatpants and didn't shower for a month. You know what I mean? Like they don't know about people. So you're ill-equipped to deal with this kind of thing, when you're young. But you learn by trying, by like get some advice. Now put it into practice. Now let's see if that works. So if you don't know how to bring up something on the phone, right? Like let's take something very simple like that. Like you call someone up that you don't know and you confirm that it is the person you're wanting to reach. Hi, is this, John Doe? And they say, yes, this is John Doe. How can I help you? And then you're like, I need a job, right? You don't know how to bring it up, right? You could say, listen. And that's the one word you have to say to like change the subject to what you want to talk about. Listen, I've been doing this and I need this and I'm wondering if you can help me there. Right? So that word tends to help. And then learn about how to present yourself. Now, most people are not going to like want to give you something. Like if you call up and ask someone for something, especially if they don't know you, they're not going to be inclined to like give you that thing, right? People, on the other hand, will be really excited to talk to you if you're offering something. Like if you can give them something that would help them, right? If you're offering something, then everyone wants to talk to you. If you're asking for something, then all things being equal, not many people will want to talk to you, right? So the question is, what can you offer, right? This is why informational interviews work, because what you can offer is something as simple as flattery. I know that sounds bad. That's a poor choice of words, but making people feel good about themselves. Like, for example, if somebody called you up and said, listen, Mr. Tech Programmer 556, my good, close personal friend, dude, teach me. I would love to know what you know. I aspire to be someone like you. So can I like sit down with you for half an hour and I could ask you questions about what you do and you could just tell me like that would be awesome. Do you maybe have time for that? Could you maybe swing that? Right? A lot of people will be flattered. Like they're not getting anything out of it. You're not offering really anything. You're offering, they kind of feel like, oh, well, thank you. It's flattering that other people care about what I think and want to be like me, So maybe, I'll give you half an hour. You got half an hour? Sure. You come down. I don't have to go anywhere, do I? You just come down and see me, Sure, I'll talk to you for half an hour. Right? You'd be surprised how effective that is. Especially to people who are used to, like, connecting with people. Like they already do this for a living. They already know how it's done. They know the importance of it. They're open to doing it, Anyway. So don't be nervous, tech programmer. You're doing fine. Learn how to connect with people, how to communicate with people, and start applying some of these principles. And if you if you keep doing it, practice makes perfect. You get really good at it, and then you won't be nervous anymore. It's just like job interviews. A lot of people get very nervous at job interviews. They go and they're like shaking and they're sweating and they can't think straight, in the beginning. And trust me, you do like 25 job interviews and you won't be that nervous anymore at number 25. Because everyone you go to, you notice a pattern. It's always the same. They call me into the room. They ask me to sit down. They ask me the questions. The questions are mostly the same. They always ask me this. They always ask me that. And I know how to answer those. One time they asked me this weird question that I wasn't expecting and I didn't know what to say, but I went home and I looked it up. And now I know what to say if ever they ask me that again. And that happened a couple of times. So I'm prepared for those weird questions, But you notice a pattern, it always goes the same. They always say this, they always say that. So I know what to expect, They shake hands, they say thank you for coming, and then you leave. And it's really not that big of a deal. So practice not only makes you better, but it makes you feel less nervous, Should you avoid job interviews if you went to one and it was like nerve-wracking? No, you should not. You should do more of them. I know it's hard. Do fun things in your life to like watch your favorite TV shows or whatever, play your favorite sports, whatever, to try and cheer yourself up, but then go out and do another one, and you will get good. And as you get good, you will feel more confident and it won't be a problem anymore. And pretty soon you'll be crushing it. The perfect network engineer is here. Hello, sir. Good evening. Suhajit, this side. Welcome, Suhajit, the perfect network engineer. I took the CompTIA or CompSHA, whatever you want to call it. I took the A+ course, 30 years ago, the Network Plus course. So is that the type of network engineer you're talking about? TCP/IP and all this kind of stuff? Or is it something completely different? It could well be something completely different. I haven't been in the IT business for over 25 years, so everything's changed, of course. But no, everyone starts somewhere. And if you're young and you're not that experienced at this, maybe you're older, but you're still not that experienced at doing job interviews or job search. It's just, you've never really had to do much of it. And, you're out of your comfort zone. You feel nervous. You feel, you hate it. It's like somebody said, it's depressing. It's like you're doing fine. It's weird how our perception changes because we perceive that, oh no, we have no value and, they wouldn't want to hire me because I can't do anything for them. And it's like wrong. You are highly talented. You are highly employable. This is what I don't like about the recruitment side. It's like they end up convincing a lot of people that they're not hireable when that's blatantly false. That's why I recommend people not to get back into it, but that's why I recommend people do the hidden job market, do the networking thing, because then you have positive interactions with people. It's very positive and very encouraging, as opposed to a lot of interactions with recruiters that tend to not be. You feel like you're being judged. You feel like they don't believe anything you say. They feel like they're really not on your side. That's what it feels like, for most people. The perfect network engineer says CCNP, CCIE. I don't even know what those are anymore. Cisco, yeah, I remember. Okay, I recognize Cisco. They manufacture routers and stuff like that. I'm trying to get for my networking and cloud certification, and CC will be cloud computing, I imagine. Cloud computing network engineer, is that what that is? An interview, need your blessings here. Well, best of luck, the perfect network engineer. That stuff is really, really cool. And if you can take that stuff and combine it with a little bit of entrepreneurship and a little bit of business, it's amazing what you can, where you can take it. So best of luck to you. Yeah, get in the chat. There are 36, I think it's 38 people here. You guys are awesome. Get in the chat. I don't have like an agenda to talk about. I'm just going off your questions, and we're not getting a lot of questions and comments in the chat. So get in there and give me something to respond to, and I'll be happy to help you out. Because if I don't get anything, I have to talk more about my courses. I have to fill air somehow. So check out, first of all, join my channel as a member. You get priority for answering questions, and I've also made some members-only videos, so you get access to those. I've also got 2 other YouTube channels, the Company's Expert 2 and the Company's Expert 3. They are clips. They're clip channels. So as you can see on the screen right here, the Company's Expert 2 is for this kind of stuff, for like job search, job seekers. The Company's Expert 3, that's more for business and entrepreneurs. So depending on why you're here or what you subscribe to my channel for, I break those out into 2 channels. Because business and growing businesses and starting companies, that's mainly my core competency. I do the job search stuff just because I know a little bit about it, because I've had to deal with it like everyone does in their career. And I've hired people, I've fired people, and so I know a bit about that kind of stuff. So I talk about it because there's a big demand for it. But the Company's Expert 3, that's where I talk mainly about business. I have 3 courses to these ends. I've got this one that probably most people here would more likely be interested in, which is how to get hired. All my advice in one place with the hidden job market and the posted job market. This one also might be of use for people, especially if you're trying to get promoted into like higher level management type roles. If you've got technical skills, that can get you so far, but once you get up into management, especially upper level management, you need more than just technical skills, a lot more. And that is the communication skills component of it that I've sort of shared based on my experiences. So check out that course, Write Like a Professional. Teaches you how to write so that people think you're a big deal. But mainly it's about what to say. It's about what to communicate. That's the critical thing. So that's very important, as you can appreciate at higher levels. So check that out. All their links are in the description. And finally, I have the business course, $100 MBA, right here. So the best bang for the buck around when it comes to learning business. If you want to be in business, learn business. If you are the type of person that wants to start a company and you've got a bit of an entrepreneur type flair, you'll definitely want this. But also for people who are just in a regular job, but you're ambitious, you want to get promoted, and that's the thing you're trying to go for, knowing business can really, really help you, because then you'll begin to understand why the decisions are made a certain way in organizations, and you'll be able to make them that way. And business is the scientific study of how to make money. That's what it is. So if you want to make money, it's kind of a useful thing to know. So check that out. I have an MBA myself, so I created this course to help people that you would like the knowledge, but you don't want to sort of take 2 years off, go back to school, do it part-time, in which case you don't see your family if you've got a family, or you have to quit your full-time job, which is, none of those are ideal for people. So here's like a quick, cheap, easy, bang for the buck way of doing it. So check those out. Okay, we got one extra comment here in the chat. Koze Nakara says, "Hi, I'm from Brazil and I watch your videos and are helping me a lot. Thanks, sir. You're absolutely welcome, Nakara, and I'm glad that they're helping you out. I wish you nothing but good things. You're highly employable and you're awesome. Never forget. Don't let recruiters and other people convince you, either directly or indirectly, that you are not, because you are. You are awesome and you are highly employable. Out there right now, there is the perfect company with the perfect job for you. And they're looking for someone just like you. The problem is that they're over here and you're over here and you're just not connecting. Okay? All you got to do is connect with them and the magic happens. The perfect network engineer says, how can I handle situations where progress is slower than expected in my current role? Now, what are you referring to? Are you referring to like at your job? Or are you talking about getting hired, like getting a job? If you could elaborate. Yeah, if you could let me know, then I can sort of begin to answer that. The perfect network engineer. Well, there's still a blizzard going on behind me. I'm here in Canada, and we were getting wind gusting to 90 kilometers an hour. Of course, people in the United States won't understand what that means, but everywhere else in the world they do. So I could feel my whole house kind of going like that, with the wind. It's a good feeling. Good feeling. I really, really enjoy that a lot when that happens. Network engineer says getting hired. Okay, so your progress is slower than expected. Okay. Well, look, apart from the obvious, which is like if you're just looking in the posted job market, also look in the hidden job market, do networking activity. There's a variety of techniques you can use to that are networking, that technically are networking to get a job. Okay. Now I have done. If you want a starting point, if you don't know anything, I have mentioned this before. You've probably heard me, the perfect network engineer, because you've been here before. But for everyone else, there's a link in the description box under this live stream to a video I did. And the video is called How Successful People Get Jobs. And in it, I show you with a video of my desktop as I'm actually doing this. What you can do, it's probably the simplest thing you can do to tap networking, to put yourself forward for all kinds of hidden jobs that are not posted. If you're an introvert, you'll love it because you don't have to talk to a single person. You can do it all using social networking and the internet. Okay? It'll trigger opportunities and bring them to you. So someone may contact you, may respond and say, yes, we might have a job, come in for an interview or something like that. Okay. So, or send me your resume or, it'll start something. Okay. So check that out. Do that as like a first step. Okay. So if you're not already doing that, start. Okay. I'm assuming that you're applying for all the posted jobs that you could find. Okay. Obviously continue with that, right? Let's see here. See, people are saying different things. But there's many other things, more elaborate things you can do in the networking front that will help you there. Jerry Mensa says, why hiring personnel ghosts people? There's a variety of reasons, but the number one reason is because it's easier than getting back to people. Less work involved. If I do nothing, that's the same thing as a no, right? So that's why a lot of them do it. It's unprofessional, it's ridiculous, and it's only really ended up coming to prominence in the last 10 years. Before that, it wasn't like the norm that people would ghost you if it was a no. They would respond and say I'm sorry, we've decided to move on or something like that. Or they would respond to a message or something like that. It was much more common. Now it's becoming the norm. It is the norm for recruiters, certainly, that if the answer is no, we're not proceeding, at least right now, then they just drop off the face of the planet. They don't respond. The other thing is that they don't want to give bad news, because when you deliver bad news, people get upset, they argue, and they don't want to deal with that. Because for every job that they fill, you have like one job and then you have like hundreds of candidates, you'd have to give a no to everyone. And, that could be a lot of people getting upset with you. And it's not your fault. I got one job. 500 people applied. What do you want me to do? 499 have to go away with a no. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean that, you're a bad person. Sorry, it didn't work out. But the problem is when you deliver this to people, they get upset. Now, I'm maybe being a little too kind to recruiters here, but that is the situation. Like, that's their 9 to 5. So they barely have enough time to respond to the people that they're like pursuing it with. Oh, I'm about to sneeze. There we go. Put out that fire. You can imagine they won't have any time to talk to people that they're not pursuing things with. That's just the reality. So, I mean, I don't recommend that you even deal with recruiters, really. Like, But that's to hopefully answer your question. Which city in Canada, sir? I'm in Winnipeg. Winnipeg, which is like right in the middle. YWYBT, can you answer the video subject in one statement? What, you didn't stick around for my explanation for that? You're just joining us now? Why people hire certain people and not others? Well, that's a very complicated thing. There's a variety of answers to it. The thing that I went into before was people that have mind share, right? So if you're thinking about that person, they're right in front of your face, and none of the other candidates are, that's the lead candidate right there. That's one of the reasons why networking works. Why 1,000 people can apply for a job, but you're the only one that contacted the employer proactively. You're the only one that they've spoken to. You're the only one that they've seen how professional you are. You're the only one that they've seen any evidence that you're actually enthusiastic about the job. And if they've had a conversation with you, you're right at the forefront of their mind. All the other candidates, they're just papers on a desk, proverbially, right? They don't know those people. They don't know if those people even remember applying for the job, right? Okay, so if you want one statement, that's the closest I can give you to one statement. It's actually, as you can imagine, quite a complicated answer. Many reasons, but you want it in one statement. There you go. Jerry Mensa says, thank you. You're welcome, Jerry. Yeah, ghosting is stupid. I mean, that's the thing. That really shows, like, conclusively just how unprofessional and silly, dealing with a recruiter is and going through the official hiring process of a lot of employers. It's like right there in one shot, you can see they don't care. They're either too disorganized to do it. Like a lot of ATS systems, they have an automated thing built in that says, like, send a default token rejection email to that candidate. You record your email address when you apply. It goes into their database, into their ATS system, applicant tracking software. And you can just say, okay, close the position, or I'm done with my filter. So send out the rejection letters, right? But no, people can't even do that properly. So either they're too incompetent or they're too unprofessional to do that, right? That just shows you the proof's right in the pudding. And usually they're completely unresponsive. Even companies that still have vacancies open that they're still trying to fill, the hiring manager might still be looking for someone. And they've sent a note to the HR department that says, post this job and get applicants, right? And you're applying through the official channels, and you're getting nowhere. There's no response. They're not calling people in for interviews, yet the hiring manager is still sitting there with a vacant position, right? I've seen that. So that's the deal. It's interesting because a big part of getting a job, it employs a lot of principles that are in common with sales. And I know all you introverts out there, all you technical people, all you people that have never worked in sales, You're all cringing right now, or you've left the live stream upon hearing that. But it's true. It's like you're essentially selling yourself. That's what you're doing. You're trying to sell yourself as an employee. Your message to the recruiter is you should forget every other candidate that you talk to, forget all of them, and hire me. And here's why, right? That's basically what you're saying to the recruiter. And the problem is if you've never worked in sales, and trust me, my heart goes out to you because I did not come up through sales. Once again, the stereotype is that it's a very slimy kind of thing. It's very off-putting, right? You don't want to have to learn that stuff. You don't want to have to do that stuff. It's actually a lot easier than you think. That's the good news. It's a lot easier to do than you think. Like, for example, how do you sell yourself in a job interview? Like, once you're actually at the interview, you've gotten an interview, right? And they're there in front of you, and they're wanting to hear why they should hire you instead of someone else. It's actually not that hard. You talk about what you've done, what you have, like in terms of your education or your experience, right? And what you know, right? I can do this. I can do that. I have this, so I know how to handle that, right? It's not that hard. You're just saying what you already have, right? That's kind of what I'm talking about, the sales process. It's not slimy. It's not off-putting. You don't have to lie. You don't have to make all kinds of false claims, right? It's just very simple. Here's why you should hire me. First of all, I got this. Then I got that. Then I got this. Now, I have this accomplishment. That's what I've done for other people. That's what I could do for you. I've got this. I've done this type of activity. I know how to do that. I could do that for you. These are the results I've achieved. If you put me in charge of this kind of thing, these are the kinds of results you could expect. I've achieved them before. I can achieve them for you. Is that like slimy and off-putting to say that kind of stuff about yourself? No, it isn't, right? So just as the sales process is not like underhanded and slimy and, ethically gray or anything, the networking process is equally straightforward, and it's not icky, and it's not, slimy or unethical. It's just straightforward, And the more people that wake up to this kind of stuff, the more technical introverts we will have that have an easier time getting jobs, and they'll be in jobs that are suited for them because they'll have been hired by the hiring manager, who probably themselves is also a technical introvert. They're certainly technical, instead of like some recruiter that is an extrovert and doesn't know anything about the subject matter for which they're hiring, Like a network engineer chosen by a recruiter. Are you going to get the best person? But a network engineer chosen by the chief network engineer, you're probably going to get a better person. And that person might not have the best communication skills in the world, but they'll probably be the best employee for that role. WYWB or WYBT says, that's short and concise. Best way to assess how well I do in interviews. I want to be well prepared for any interview that comes my way. My friend Nakara says, how to be confident in interviews. Okay, well, those questions kind of are all along the same lines. Okay, so how to assess how you did in an interview. Now, that's an interesting topic, because one would think that you could just ask the interviewer at the end and say, so, how'd I do, right? You can ask that, right? But you're not going to get an honest answer. They're not going to say, oh, you did terribly, Or if they do say something like that, let's say that could be true, they won't tell you anything constructive like, well, you need to work on, this. You came across, like this, like you were very upset, just maybe the facial expression you had, or the fact that you avoided all eye contact kind of seemed a bit strange. They're not going to give you constructive tips like that, okay? the answer you're going to get is always, you did fine, you did great, and then you get a rejection letter, right? So you can't simply ask, right? Now, the way most people do it, okay, is either trial and error. You just try different things over the years and you tend to get hired, and you don't really know why exactly, but it seemed to work out. If you really want to know, the best thing to do is to do mock interviews. That's where you take another person and you do a pretend job interview with them. Okay? That's how you learn this stuff, right? Now, the primary value in doing this is it gives you practice for how to do an interview. So you feel a bit nervous, it's a bit weird, doing it. That's good, because that simulates probably how you're going to feel at an actual job interview. And then you have to remember answers to questions, right? So you're practicing that. And as we all know, we tend not to remember as much as we think we will, right? So it helps you work on that, right? That's the primary value, is practice for you. The secondary benefit is that sometimes, depending on the person, you can ask them for feedback. You could say, look, how did I do? Is there anything you think I should work on? And then they'll say something. And if it's like painfully honest, maybe you might take it personally and, refuse to acknowledge it or something. But if you're working with someone you actually really trust, there's a chance that, they can give you constructive feedback to help you. And they'll say, like, look, you did really well as far as I could tell, but you came across a little like angry or a little intense. Maybe just dial it back. Like, you're sitting forward in your chair, maybe just like relax a bit, relax, lean back, kind of not be so constricted, just open up a bit, seem a bit more confident, a bit more comfortable. Practice doing that next time. I think you would come across better. You'd make a better first impression. Right? So mock interviews are things. Now, if you're like a rich executive, you can afford to hire HR companies that will provide this service for you. If you don't have a lot of money, you can do this with friends or family, right? So if there's a family member or you have a best friend or something that's got time on their hands, maybe they can help you with this. You need to do more than one or two of these. You need to do I would say every couple of days for like 2 weeks to really make an impact. And then job interviews will start to feel like clockwork for you. And then you'll feel comfortable doing them because you've had so much practice. They've asked you every type of question. And, you have experience. Even if you didn't know what to say, and you've done your research afterwards, and you've since learned, okay, when they ask me that, here's what I say. Gotcha. And then next time you're prepared, right? Okay, so that's a good way to work on this stuff. Okay, if you have a family member, someone loafing around your house or whatever, your home, just draft them into this and say, hey, I know this is weird, but just bear with me here. Can you pretend to be an interviewer? You can give them a list of questions, or you could tell them, go and you write your own questions, so that I don't know what you're going to ask, and then we'll do this, and you pretend to be the interviewer. And this is so that I can get better at interviewing. Right? Now, Nakara says how to be confident in interviews. I'll tell you how to be confident. It's by being prepared and if you've practiced it a lot and you're prepared and you're good, you'll feel good. The fact that you go to an interview and they ask you all these questions and no question stumps you. You have an answer for everything that they say, and you feel that you delivered it well. The confidence will just come naturally at that point. Okay, so both those things go together. Being well prepared, you do that by practicing, not just solo, but with someone else doing mock interviews, and then the confidence follows. And then you'll have done so many job interviews, you'll be an expert at job interviews. Even stuff where they ask you something and it's awkward, Have you ever had that? Where someone says almost like an inflammatory statement. They say, well, I don't see a lot of experience on your resume, so it doesn't seem like you know how to do this. And that you might get upset, you might get incensed hearing this, because it's like, what are you talking about? I'm a fully qualified person that has done that for years. You know, what are you saying? Are you not reading you got the wrong resume in your hand? Like, what's the problem? You know, you'll learn how to like handle questions like that, or statements like that people might throw at you every once in a while. I've had statements like that. You know, so you will learn this, and after handling many of those and handling them well, you feel you can do anything. You feel pretty confident in yourself. Tech Programmer 556 says, is speaking slower or faster better in interviews? I don't know. I think that you should speak at whatever rate is appropriate. You know, sometimes people have like motor mouth, right? And sometimes people slow it down, right? It depends what you're going for. Some people talk fast out of nervousness, right? Now, once again, if you practice, eventually you won't be nearly as nervous, right? So that won't be a consideration. Another reason why people might speak fast is because they feel that they've got so much to say that they just need to get through it all. And it's like a race to sort of say it all before they cut you off. You know what I mean? That's another thing. Now, if that's what's going on, you might want to have to learn the art of brevity, how to summarize what you want to say. And I know this is rich coming from me doing these like multi-hour live streams where I just waffle on forever. But you know what I mean? Like, just sort of work on like how to summarize the essentials of what you want to say. Maybe put those first. And if they want to move on after that, that's fine. You've said the important things that you want to say to get your point across. But if you have extra time, then you could maybe elaborate more afterwards, right? But the problem is people they get overwhelmed. And I used to suffer from this a lot when I was younger, and it's never really gone, but you know, it's this idea that like when someone asks you like a very general question, my mind would just get overloaded, because it's like I can bring to mind like 20 examples and 5 stories of like, you know, what I would have to say to fully convey the answer to that question. And there's no way I could like say all that. I'd be here for an hour trying to explain all that. You know? So you have to learn like, okay, how do I organize my thoughts? How do I summarize these things? I need to sort of start with a statement that sets up what I'm doing, maybe an overview, you know, and then say the essentials first in a very compact way. You know, that requires some real mental organizational skills. You know, a lot of detail-oriented people really struggle with that kind of thing. You know? It's hard to get the 30,000 foot view, you know, when you're a detail-oriented person. So I would speak at appropriate speed, right? You can go a little bit faster sometimes, a little bit slower sometimes, depending on if you want something to really come across, right? Sometimes recruiters are writing stuff down, and they're not like in that moment, they're writing down what you said a minute ago, and they're not really listening to what you're in the middle of saying right now. You know, so it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. You want to make sure that they get it. So you might slow things down. Or put a pause, like I just did. That tends to get people's attention. But this is the kind of stuff you would practice in a mock interview, Tech Programmer 556. If that makes any sense. Okay, if anyone has any last questions or comments, please put them in the chat right now. I see there's 30 people here. I have to wrap this up in a couple of minutes. So speak now or forever hold your peace. This microphone is always in my way. There we go, something like that. The problem I have is that it won't stay up on its own. It just kind of falls. But that's fine because I have a solution for that. Tech programmer, do you think if someone speaks fast, they can fail the interview because it's a sign of nervousness? Oh, is it a crime to be nervous? Listen, it takes all kinds. There's all kinds of people in this world, and all kinds of people do all kinds of retarded things. But generally, no. You know, like, listen, if you speak so fast that it's a problem, like they either can't understand what you're saying or they can't remember what you're saying because it's so quick, you know, or it's just like, like they're just going on forever and ever, you know what I mean? Like if there's some like mechanical, technical problem because you're speaking fast, then yes, it can be a problem. You need to work on that. But simply speaking fast, especially just for like a few moments or something, absolutely not a problem. You know, sometimes it's good to mix things up a bit. You speak loud, you speak quiet, you speak slow, you speak fast, you know? A little bit of variety is good. Okay. Now, I don't know if if it's a job where like if you're nervous, that's bad, you know? You know, maybe like you're wanting to be a supervisor or something, I don't know, and you're like super nervous, like just talking to them, then maybe that could harm you, because if you're a supervisor, you shouldn't feel uncomfortable talking to people in theory, right? You know, or if you do feel uncomfortable, you should be able to handle it, you know, and still talk to them properly, right? But just in general, nervousness is like, you know, no, we're going to fail you because you were too nervous. I don't think so, unless it's like to a ridiculous degree. Does that help? But listen, if you have a problem speaking fast, like if that's what this is about, just practice. Practice doing mock interviews, you know, and, you know, maybe even like do a mock interview and then have like a big sign in front of you that says slow down, and maybe like have the other person point to it, you know, just point to it as you start to like speak really, really fast to the point where it's a problem, you know, and just, you're like, okay, I gotta slow down. You know what I mean? If that's an issue, then practice makes perfect. You work on it. Speaking too slow can be a problem too, because people just go to sleep, you know? Our minds can process things faster than people can speak. So we tend to get a little bit bored when somebody speaks slow, because we're thinking of all kinds of stuff in the meantime, because our brains are bored, you know? So sometimes you speak a bit faster, then all of a sudden people become more engaged, right? Up to a point. Sir, your advices and suggestions mean so much. Really appreciate it. I'm going to get your hired course, and then maybe, okay. Well, listen, what's important is that it's helping you, and it's very kind of you to say so. I'm glad that this is helping. Yeah, my course, my Get Hired course, contains like all my advice for, as I said, for applying for jobs in the posted job market, but also applying for things in the hidden job market. So it's both of those. So if you're interested in getting that, get that course, especially the hidden job market stuff. It's a lot of things I haven't really covered on my channel, you know, through live streams or through other videos, because it's a big topic. It's hard to like take on this monolithic sort of subject and cut it into little 5-minute videos. It's very hard to do that. But thank you. Anyway, there's 29 people here. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. If you're between jobs right now, always remember, you're awesome. You're highly valuable. You're highly employable. You got a lot of skills that a lot of employers are looking for. Don't let this retarded process convince you that you don't have any value, or you're unemployable, or no one is looking for you, because that is not the case. There are a lot of people out there that are looking for someone just like you. And like I said earlier, the problem is they're over here and you're over here, and you're just not connecting. That's the problem. Okay, so keep on keeping on. If you've been applying for jobs in the post-job market for a long time and it hasn't really gone anywhere fast, consider learning about the other more popular ways of getting a job, which involve some type of networking, most of which introverts can do really, really well. Okay? I've got some free videos on my channel that talk about that stuff. I've also got courses that talk about it if you want to go deeper, but tune into this stuff. Get your advice from a variety of sources, and don't just listen to advice, go out and start trying things, because that's the best type of learning. No one can take away your own experiences. No one can tell you that something isn't true when you've done it or you've seen it. So don't just sit back and listen to advice all the time. Go out and try things, okay? Thanks very much. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will be back on Monday. I do a live stream on entrepreneurship, and I have another live stream where I collaborate with another YouTuber who is a recruiter. That's Abby from the YouTube channel Life Work Balance. So check that out, where we discuss kind of things together. So it's an interesting kind of thing. You get my sort of attitudes and her attitudes together answering questions. So check that out. That's called Career Expert Roundtable. And I will see you guys then. I wish you all the best. Take care.